Hello and welcome back, and welcome to some more PSGL highlights. Today we're back in Portimão for round something of the championship. It's a race after China anyway. And yeah, Portimão, you can see the standings up on screen after China. Currently in P8 in the drivers and P4 in the constructors after a few points in the previous event. So Portimão, obviously a new one for the calendar. I have done a few races on the PC side, but yeah, the PlayStation is a lot different, to which you probably wouldn't expect, but it is a lot different. Anyway, in the qualifying, you can see our banker lap here. We do 16.1, which gets us into P2. About 2 tenths off Blizzard though, so that's definitely not going to stay like that. The second lap we did, you can see here, we're going to run slightly wide off the track and invalidate, so we're going to have to go again, but yeah, decided I was going to qualify for this race, or at least try and qualify and see how we can. I don't think the alternate strategy is particularly amazing, as it is very, very difficult to make any sort of overtake, but yeah, this is our third lap, although we're on our second set of tyres. We make a little bit of a mess of the last sector, so annoyingly once again we're still not going to improve on our banker lap, which is not ideal whatsoever. But yeah, we're going to come into the pit lane and wait for our final set of tyres, which happen now. They can see this was going to be my final run, but we did fuel up for 2 in case something like this happened. You can see a lot of sliding going on through that weird right hand corner. We back off because I was holding up on a 0.1. There was not going to be enough for anything high up, so yeah, you can see now starting our final lap, we're down in P10, so if we mess this up we're going to be on the alternate strategy anyway, so it's all or nothing really on this lap. Coming down into turn 1 then, very difficult. You've got to get closest to the inside curb as you can. It was fairly decent, you can see the time we've gained there, but down to the hairpin. We're going to turn the ERS off here as you run out of deployment if you leave it on for the entire lap, but yeah, nonetheless, bit of a poor exit. And we do a 0.8 in the first sector, which is not very fast at all. It's about a tenth off at least. What you really should be doing, but yeah, a decent-ish hairpin, and then coming around into this really weird oversteery right-hander. It's just very, very difficult to keep the rear end in check. But we do it very nicely. And you can see we're a tenth and a half up, so we're on for a 0.9 as things stand, which should get us into the top 10. Coming round the next right hand corner, I don't know what any of these corners are, by the way, so you're just gonna have to roll with what I've done, but yeah, we're nearly 2 tenths up now coming into the last sector. Now on our bank ride, last sector was very, very fast, so it's gonna be difficult to keep with the time that we have. We lose a little bit of time on the entry, but we're gonna gain it all back on the exit. We're nearly 2 tenths up on our 0.1. Where's this going to get us on the grid? Surely it's going to get us into the top 10, maybe even the top 5. Let's see what it's going to be. As we cross the line, it's P3 on the grid provisionally. We've still got a few cars yet to set their times, but I can tell you now that after everyone's set their laps, we've qualified in P4 for the Portuguese Grand Prix. Now, I was not expecting that time to be P4, as you can see how close it is from P4 to P9. Everyone in the 0.9s, but we have managed to just scrape ourselves into the top 4. So yeah, this is going to be a different race, but we're going to skip straight on now, into the start of the race to see if we get a good start or not. Blizzard, not the ideal start, but Jordan gets a decent start on the outside. They're going to be sort of side by side, but I think Jordan is going to back out into turn 1. So we sail into P4, but yeah, as I was trying to say before, the race started very quickly. Going to be interested to see what we can do starting from the front rather than being on the alternate strategy. We're slightly wide there, but yeah, lifted off, and thankfully the game didn't give us a warning, which is a very crucial factor of this track, actually, warnings. It's very, very easy to get a penalty, and also very easy to get double warnings and stuff like that. It tends to happen a lot on this track, so yeah, don't take all the penalties that you see for granted, as a lot of them will probably get removed down the line. But yeah, skipping to the end of that 3 pretty quickly then. The pace at the front was very, very fast. I know Juiced, who was leading the train, blasted pretty much all of his battery in the first 2 laps to try and break the DRS from Matthew, CRG Blizzard. And I think, to be fair to him, it did work, but I think Matthew just about managed to scrape back in. But yeah, the gaps, you can see the gaps. I'm 7 tenths behind Jordan, Duncan behind, he's nearly 8.5 to 9 tenths behind. So it's very spread out, and I think that's sort of the nature of this track. It is very difficult to get close and to make any sort of overtakes, particularly when you're in a train. So it's all going to come down to strategy, to be honest. And we skip all the way now to lap 11. You can see Jordan is going to go into the pit, so he's going to go for the undercut. Now, I didn't want to pit on the same lap, obviously, as I would not gain from this at all. But yeah, we have lost, obviously, the DRS gap, and as we're going to go wide through the first corner, get a first warning of the race, which is pretty good to do to get to this point without a single warning. So we've got 2 more of them available. Well, 1 more until we get the penalty. But yeah, because obviously Jordan's pit, we have lost the DRS. Now we are going to have to pit on this lap, otherwise we will lose a lot of time. So this lap's just going to be pushing as hard as possible on these soft tyres. The soft tyres, fairly durable around here. If you've got a lot of battery, you can definitely perform some kind of overcut is possible. But yeah, if the guy coming out of the pits like Jordan on the medium tyres, he's going to be most likely faster. So we'll have to see what happens. But yeah, this is the very crucial phase of the race, particularly when you cannot overtake very well at all around here. It's going to be very important to to have a good in and out lap. But the pace on this lap, considering we didn't really have any DRS or anything, is fairly good. We have closed on Blizzard very slightly, although he's obviously going to gain quite a lot down the straight. With the DRS, Juiced, the race leader pits, we're going to follow him in. Matthew, CLG Blizzard, stays out 1 more lap, so he's going to try and perform the overcut strategy. But yeah, into the pits then. We can see Jordan on the map, on the mini-map in the bottom left-hand corner. He's coming around the final corner now, and obviously I expect him to be ahead, but it depends who he's going to be ahead of. Is he going to be ahead of Blizzard? Because Blizzard's done 2 extra laps compared to Jordan. But there goes Juiced. You'll be able to see Jordan on the left-hand side now. He's going to come out just ahead of us. And as he goes around turn 1 now, he's going to go off the track. And you can see a 3-second penalty for Jordan here. So that's very good for us. That means there's 1 less car that we need to overtake in this race in order to gain a position. So we are very, very close to being out of the DRS of Jordan, and we have to push quite a lot because, as you can see behind, Duncan 1.1 seconds, 1.3 now behind, and at this point I knew that if I pushed really hard on this outlap, we could keep Duncan out the DRS. You can see the gap 1.3 seconds, but watch this down the straight. Because he's not got the DRS, look how much he's going to lose. He's going to be 1.5 seconds behind now, and that pushing on the outlaps definitely turned this race into a 4-horse race now for the race lead. As Blizzard comes out, he manages to stay in P2, so the extra 2 laps for him has definitely helped, and it's going to give him obviously the freshest tyres of the top 4 runners. But yeah, we're going to skip on to lap 23 quite a lot later then, and we're going to see a penalty again for Blizzard this time. He's going to go slightly wide, so that's a 3-second penalty, and that means we don't need to overtake either of these cars to gain their positions. Now, obviously, as I was saying before, you're not too sure what the penalty situation is going to be like because of the warnings and stuff, but I did know from being in a party with Blizzard that his were all legitimate warnings, and he would lose that position as long as we stayed within 3 seconds. So, yeah, that's the aim for now. Juiced had really, really good pace in this race, and he managed to break the DRS to us 3. So it's a 3-horse race really for P2 at this stage, as the race win is pretty much settled. But yeah, the virtual safety cars come out for some incident towards the back, which gives it a little bit of breathing time. And you can see how much Duncan, has dropped back. He's 5 seconds behind now, so that shows the pace of the leading train, and obviously how much you lose when you don't have the DRS. So yeah, virtual safety cars allowing us to save a bit of the battery back up, and will allow everyone to push a little bit more towards the end of the race. But due to the nature of how the virtual safety car ends, it's also very easy to gain or lose time. So we'll have to see what happens there. But it ends on a fairly nice point for us, and we all pretty much stay exactly the same gap. So yeah, there's not a lot really that can be done, especially when you're third car in the train. So given to the end of lap 31, I knew from talking to Blizzard in the past that he was going to try and make a move on Jordan here, and I wanted to try and do the same. I wanted to see if it was possible to, if I used a lot of a battery, to follow him through on Jordan. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to use the battery. We're going to close in on them both, and Blizzard is going to make the overtake on Jordan here, but we turned the battery off as, yeah, I'm fairly sure I was nowhere near close enough. Now, we do get very close here. I was thinking about maybe making a move, but I didn't want to risk it knowing that Jordan had a penalty. So we are going to sit behind once again, and yeah, just the story of the race really. There's not a lot you can really do. We're going to skip all the way to the end now as Juice takes his dominant victory. We're going to come across the line in P4, but it's going to be P2 after the penalties. And yeah, another solid drive then, another solid result on P2 in P2. But yeah, I can confirm. Obviously, it's not confirmed as of right now, but I'm fairly confident Jordan will get his penalty removed. So it's going to be P3 rather than P2, but it's still a podium nonetheless. And yeah, it's nice to get a good result when not being on the alternate strategy, when actually qualifying high up for once. So yeah, P3, sorry, it is. But yeah, the track is very fun to drive, but it's not very good for racing really. You can't overtake very well at all, even if it's not on a train, even if you're against one other car. If they've got a lot of battery to use, it's very difficult to make a manoeuvre. So yeah, it is what it is with this track, but we'll take the result and move on into the next one, which unfortunately I will not be racing. The next race is Canada, but unfortunately I'm not going to be able to race in that one. So we'll have to see where we end up in the standings after that race has gone by. But I can tell you now, pretty sure we're up to P5 in the driver standings somehow after all the races we've missed and messed up. So yeah, we'll definitely take that. But yeah, we're back with some more PSGL highlights in 2 weeks' time for, not entirely sure what the next race is. I think it may be USA or something like that. Yeah, we'll have to see anyway. But yeah, thanks very much for watching these highlights. I know the race in this one was quite boring, but yeah, just the nature of the track. But yeah, thanks very much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.